welcome to our podcast, Baw Gawd.
It's hard to sit through 3 hours of Raw every week.
Unknown and you're feeding off of that crowd. Oh, you're in your Superdome and you can't believe that pop's so loud. Oh, you come from parts unknown and you're feeding off of that crowd. Oh, you're in your Superdome and you can't believe that pop's so loud. Oh, you come from parts unknown and you're feeding off of that crowd.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was smooth.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to 3, 2, 1, Baw Gawd!
Baw Gawd.
Better. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble. And more specifically, Roman Reigns. The Roman Reigns fiasco.
The Roman Reigns era has begun. Deal with it.
The Roman Reigns error has begun.
Error? Yes, it's an error on their part that's more befitting of this situation than era.
Yes.
Ugh. God. It's been a crazy 48 hours.
Very interesting if you're a wrestling fan. If you're a WWE fan, especially.
I don't know about interesting more than it's just frustrating and it's getting old and I don't know. Sometimes I think if we didn't have this, would we be as invested in this? Like I think
yes.
I think some of these fans like us like complaining and bitching and having things to whine about. Honestly, I think we prefer this to being content and getting what we want. Maybe it's part of their game plan, I don't know. To dangle the fruit in front of us for as long as they can and frustrate us, knowing that we'll come back. I mean, I don't know if you woke up to the news or not, but McMahon announced that there's been 1,000.
A million.
Yeah. 1,000 is what the fans that perpetuated the whole cancel WWE Network hashtag had in mind. But I guess they were lying because, what do you know? The very next day or 2 days after, they announced that there's over a million subscribers to the network. I guess it didn't really work out how we wanted. Although I'm not one of those people that, jumped the gun and canceled my subscription. I'm still gonna watch the pay-per-views. I'm gonna watch WrestleMania. And I don't think it would change their creative plans going forward anyways.
I did.
So I don't. You did cancel?
I did cancel.
Oh, I wasn't even aware that you subscribed. I figured you just pirated the pay-per-views.
Nope, I've been subscribing since the beginning, and I canceled because I don't want to give them my money. The Nostalgia Network, I've been through it already.
Yeah, and it's not like they're adding a plethora of new content every day. I mean, it's...
What are they going to do? Add some Sunday Night Heat to try and get me reeled back into watching old clips?
That's the thing. It's not a bad service, I don't think. I'll defend it.
It's not, but...
Well, it's you get, for $9.99, you get the pay-per-views and the entire history of mainstream professional wrestling, essentially. But it's just with people that have, normal schedules and things to do.
You get the history of mainstream wrestling very skewed from one perspective.
Yeah, it's revisionist history, to say the least.
And the pay-per-views, they suck.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that I want to go back and watch. I just don't have the time between 3 hours of Raw every week and NXT and now Luchaunderground and, I have a wrestling DVD collection. I go back and watch those when I got it's just too much wrestling. So I think the problem lies in in that is that people, if it's stuff they've already seen, chances are they're gonna skim through it for a nostalgia kick like a few times, but after that, that's just not really what they're looking for. So it's kind of a conundrum with the network in that respect.
I've seen it all, so at this point, everything I was interested in looking at, I looked at it. I got my kicks for a month, and
Legends House.
yes,
I couldn't. I got through like one or two, maybe three episodes of that. I don't even remember before I was just like, yeah, this is just because these have some like mid card wrestling legends. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm gonna sit and spend my time watching this. It's no better than some shit on MTV or VH1. So, I mean, and I'll admit I've watched some of the countdowns and some, at least half of the Monday Night War documentary series that they started a few months back, but then those started to get really repetitive and
we've heard the
using,
stories 1,000 times.
yeah, yeah. I mean, how many times can they shove this attitude stuff down our throats?
Hmm.
So, I didn't cancel because I mean, maybe I should. I have no interest really in that Fastlane
Well,
pay-per-view. I
there's
mean,
other
let's
there's
face it.
other ways to get. The only reason not to cancel is if you're a fan is to watch NXT.
Yeah,
But there's also other ways to watch NXT.
yeah. And now that I have Lucha Underground for free,
Uh huh.
it's yeah, I might, because that extra $10 a month, and that's a
They
meal
don't
at Panda
deserve it.
Express.
More than anything, they don't deserve it.
Yeah, they don't. But I don't know. Did you catch the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar stare down last night?
Yes. Well, let's start by talking about the Rumble.
Okay, yeah, we'll progress and
Uh huh.
and end up at that.
Okay. So there's nothing to talk about until the triple threat match.
Correct.
Actually,
100%
let's
agree.
just touch on the Ascension and how
Touch
they.
on it.
Yes, because they've been buried since their debut by JBL on commentary, and then they come out and they start poking the NWO with sticks, and NWO like angry bears.
We were
They say
born and
stop.
bred to rip and shred. Can you believe that dialogue? Not only the dialogue that was given to him, Connor or Victor, whichever one it is, I don't
Uh huh.
fucking know. Not only was the dialogue bad, but his delivery was pathetic.
It was
It,
out of time.
yes, it was so hokey, and like, there's a difference
I want him
between
to keep doing that though. If he keeps doing it just like that, that'll get over.
as
If
a comedy team.
Yes, if he plays fucking retarded, and the other guy's like the straight guy, that would get over. But
Yeah,
they didn't do that on purpose. It's
yeah,
just bad.
that's their only chance is to turn them into like bumbling heels. I mean, hey, it worked for Miz and Mizdow.
It did, and that's getting a little old.
I mean, yeah, it's getting old, but I mean, I think we can all agree to some extent that Mizdow, Damian Sandow in a comedy role is more over than Mr. Golden Boy, hand chosen, manufactured Roman Reigns.
He is.
I don't know, but we're the IWC with neckbeards and pimples and virgins. We've never been laid, so what do we know?
Yep.
Real men like Roman Reigns. He's a heterosexual.
We're millennials.
Yeah. God, I love that when Stone Cold was staring down Vince McMahon. Millennials.
I'm even seeing it in the comment sections on the dirt sheets. Other fans are accusing our generation of being just terrible wrestling fans
Yeah,
that are
pussify.
ruining.
Yeah, it's kind of unreal when you think about it, because like the shit evolves. I think wrestling it should end up in this more, I don't know how to describe it. I guess I don't want to say smaller guys, but more athletic guys. I don't think it's smarkiness for the sake of being smarky. Like, we're not doing it just because we don't want to see certain people succeed. We're doing it because we want to see other people succeed that actually have the talent to carry this company forward and be, because let's be honest, it's a niche thing. Wrestling will never be how big it was in the late 90s and the 80s and stuff. That those days are over.
it could be better than it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, it could, but the
Hmm.
days of having to buy into jacked up superheroes, those days, I just feel like, why? Why do we have to succumb to that?
Well,
Uh,
they exposed
Kayfabe
the
is dead.
business. Yeah, they exposed the
Yeah,
business during the Attitude Era.
Kay, kayfabe is dead. So these people online that are saying that Bryan versus Lesnar is a joke and stuff, like, are you kidding? Professional wrestling is it's just stories, people. It's performance art. It's not legitimate competition to be taken seriously.
Yes,
It's fun. It's a fun thing to watch. So this notion that only certain guys can hang in the main event because of their look alone is just it's just outdated to me. And I don't think I think the vast majority of fans have voiced their opinions that guys like Dean Ambrose, Ziggler, and Bryan, that's who belong in the main event now, or like on the cusp of it. I'm not saying that guys the size of Roman Reigns and guys with his style or even limited in-ring ability
they have a
shouldn't.
place.
Yeah, they have a place and they shouldn't be necessarily out of the main event. But why can't they share that limelight with the smaller guys? I just don't get it. Like, ugh, it's just weird. It just shows how out of touch they are.
Well, look at Lucha Underground. The big guys in Lucha Underground are more effective because there's only a handful of them.
Yeah, yeah, that works. They found a very a good balance. It works. It's I don't know. It's a good juxtaposition. What was that?
What?
Okay, sorry. I got a Facebook message. I got to turn off notifications before I start doing this podcast in the future.
Fuck
But
those people.
yeah, there's a good balance on I would say even on NXT too. Like they know how to book on that show as well. Like the smaller guys, they don't you don't you're not looking at them thinking, "Oh, these guys are small. They can't get in there and be believable superstars."
Vince is.
Yeah, I know, but
That's how Vince sees them.
he'll croak. He'll croak in the next 5 to 10 years.
You think so?
But
He's
that I don't
69
know.
years old.
How much is Triple H responsible for how good NXT is, I wonder, because
I don't know. He claims it's his baby, but then you see these NXT guys get brought over to main roster and they're all buried. So
but that could be Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn and John Laurinaitis and all these uh fat cat decision makers that I just can't see them like holding down Triple H. Like, no, we're not going to use your brash, inventive ideas. Like, I don't. I think people give Triple H a little too much credit. I don't think he's the god when it comes to booking and developing young stars that people make him out to be. But I do think he would be a better choice than Vince McMahon at this point. He's got his finger on the pulse of the modern wrestling fan a lot better than Vince McMahon does, but I still don't think it would be ideal if he were to take over tomorrow.
could you imagine if we had Shane McMahon in charge, though?
Yeah, it'd be a bunch of what was his faction? I'm drawing a blank. The Posse, what was it?
Oh, the the Mean Street Posse.
Mean Street Posse, yeah. It
No,
would just be a bunch of guys like that.
Shane McMahon had his fingers on the pulse. I
Really,
think.
I don't really know much about his creative control or his ideas. As far
Well,
as I
he
know,
left because they weren't giving him any.
really was he involved? Like I think he might have been involved in that, or not involved, as you say, like in that time period where I wasn't watching. Like I Shane
They were
McMahon kind of
beating
fell off the
down
face of the
his.
earth.
They were beating down his ideas and like the invasion angles and
Oh, well, they really could have used some alternate ideas during that.
yes.
But all
Like
right, let's not get into the invasion. That's a
okay,
whole
uh,
debacle,
the the Ascension.
right?
So the New Age Outlaws kicked their ass during the Raw reunion. You had Farouk and Bradshaw, uh, the NWO. They're all partying in the ring while the Outlaws play with the Ascension like cats play with dead mice. And it was very wanky. And it felt. I don't like the Ascension, but it felt
No,
symbolic about how they treat a lot of guys on the roster. And that bothered me about the whole situation.
what do you mean? I mean, they went over.
The Outlaws? Oh, no, in the actual match that they ended up having at Royal Rumble with the Outlaws, they did win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
They went over. That was the end game here.
But
But the match
how
was
over could that make them after this week, the
no,
weeks
no,
of?
nobody cared. I
Mhm.
mean, New Age Outlaws are over, and they get the homecoming response from the fans. People are glad to see them. They get the nostalgia pop, but that it doesn't mean anything just because they lost. I mean, they lost to the Usos and the Shield and whatever last year or however long ago that was. It wasn't a big deal, and the match was sloppy and boring. You had a lot of rest holds. They did nothing to impress.
Correct.
So that's all I can say about that is that I wasn't impressed.
So the
Nobody else
Ascension
was
are
impressed.
fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I I kind of think their game plan here was to be like, let's get these guys out of the way. If they work, great, but if they don't, fine. And we probably expect the latter to go down for them to not have any success. So let's get these guys out of the way, the worst people from NXT, and then we'll start slowly bringing in the talented people that actually have a
But they
future.
never had to bring them to main roster to do that. They could have let them go right from NXT.
Yeah, but I guess they figured they invested several years in them and stuff, and they were like, we might as well give them a shot because they have a really thin talent pool when it comes to, well, just the talent pool in general, but also in the tag team division. I mean, there's really nothing to really get excited about. So
Yeah,
they
I
thought
agree with that.
let's bring in some fresh faces, see if they get over, and clearly they're not.
But they
So,
expected them to get over fighting jobbers, like complete unknowns. They
well,
didn't
Ryback
really
did.
try. They didn't really try to. I don't think
Ryback,
Ryback was overdoing that. I think when he started doing the feed me more after a while,
yeah, I
it was a
mean,
couple months before Ryback was actually getting a response from the crowd going
well,
through.
I would say him beating up jobbers was more over than the Ascension beating up jobbers. Whether that's because wrestling fans are in a state of apathy even more so than they were in 2012, that remains to be seen. I don't know,
Maybe
but
it's just because we've seen the beating up jobbers. Like, oh, here's the nameless jobbers again.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that every now and then. That was something they
Every
employed back.
week, they have enough jobbers on the roster already. Feed them Zack Ryder and rest in peace Justin Gabriel. Form some kind of tag team or make them lose.
Yeah, I guess it's really not impressive to be like in there
Give
beating
them
a.
Lost Matadors. I mean, Slater
Yeah,
Gator.
yeah, and that's probably what they'll start doing now. I think the jobber thing was just for a few weeks. I think they'll start moving on to ripping and shredding actual roster members that don't have a future but are just there as placeholders,
I hope so. I'm kind of
mechanics.
I'm almost rooting for them to succeed just out of spite. I want to see if
Yeah,
it's possible.
that's part of the problem though. You don't want the people that WWE want to shove down your throat to succeed. You want the underdog to succeed. So maybe the Ascension will get over in that respect.
Nah, they won't. They won't. Um. So then we had some shitty divas match. Paige being
I was look
underutilized.
I was looking at my phone. Remember when she first came in, everybody was like, "Oh my God, the Divas division is going to be revitalized and we're going to have an epic feud between AJ Lee and Paige and it's going to be the new Trish Stratus versus Lita." And then
They gave Paige AJ's gimmick. It just confused people. The frenemies thing was
oh,
underdeveloped. It was
it was bad.
annoying.
The whole I mean as if the creative decisions and the booking and the storylines wasn't bad enough for the men. What has been going on with the Divas division in the last year or so? Like, I don't want to get into it, but it's just so patchy from week to week. You can't, there's no real story arc or like sequence of events. It's just like, well, we'll go out there and do this week, and one week the Bellas will be bitter enemies to the end, and the next, oh, they're on the same page with no explanation. And one week Paige is a lesbian, the next she's a heel, the next she's a face. Like, it's just sloppy and it's bad, and nobody cares. I mean,
The last Divas feud I was interested in was Caitlyn and AJ. I thought they worked very well together.
I vaguely remember it. I mean, I do, but ugh. I don't know. I never liked Caitlyn that much. She just didn't have it for me as much as many of these women do. I'd say the one female wrestler signed to the company right now that really impresses me. Well, no, I take that back. Charlotte too, but Naomi. But she doesn't really have the look. She doesn't have the verbal or like physical appeal. But as far as in-ring work goes, I'll actually watch the show if she's in a match. But
I was intrigued with Alicia Fox's breakdown stuff that was going on earlier in
yeah,
the year.
yeah, that
That
was
got me
good. But then
interested, but where'd it
then
go?
it just dipped off. No explanation, and now she's like rarely seen. So, but we said we have a lot to cover with the Royal Rumble. Let's not get into the fodder that literally does not matter.
Okay, the keep saying main event, the title match.
It was the main event,
Okay.
right? Yeah. Let's just be honest. It was.
It was good.
We will remember it as the main event of the show.
It was a great match.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's really not even much to go over. I mean, anybody who is a fan and actually seeks out the good things that WWE has to offer has seen it already. And there are a lot of good spots. It wasn't a traditional match in the sense of build up with like, the valleys and peaks. It was just all peaks. Didn't it seem like that to you? Like, not in the way that Lucha is, where it's just one thing after another, but it was just like one big climax. It's like you barely had any time to breathe in between these things. It was just it was one of those matches that kept you on the edge of your seat.
It's what we should be expecting from a product that we now know is fake. We know that
Yeah.
they're supposed to be entertaining us, so this is
Yeah,
what we want to see.
it suspended my disbelief for a good 20 minutes or however long that match was. I was into it. I was buying into every near fall, and WWE really needs to get their shit together and realize what a hand they have in Brock Lesnar and what a fucking treasure they have in him. And they need to not let him go. They need to pay him whatever it takes to get him to stay, because that performance that he gave was incredible. And a lot of that has to do with how stiff he is. I mean, he was throwing those guys in there around like they were rag dolls. But
I,
like I don't know, like a lot of people say he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's just there for a paycheck. He does not care about the adoration of the fans.
I think that's absolutely true. I think that's
Well,
100% true.
really? But I
Yes.
mean, he to an extent, but he tried. Like he put in
I
a
think
performance.
during the last month, he's been trying harder. I think
Yeah,
that's come across to me on TV.
he was bumping around, man. Like
But
he didn't have to take that table spot. He took that barrier spot, or whatever you want to call it, where John Cena tackled him through the, uh, not guardrail. I don't even know what they call it. Um, he took that like from behind. Like
he
you're
did take
supposed
it
to
from
take.
behind.
You know what I mean? No, but he that's not the traditional way of taking that. I'm sure that hurt. I don't know, and I know it was most likely kayfabe. I know it was a work, but I honestly bought into the fact that he had a broken rib.
No,
Honestly, like
no.
no,
Well,
I know he didn't, but
until he jumped up and finished the match.
yeah, like it was a great match. It was everything that a match should be. I shuddered.
I could have gone without the rib breaking part. That was the only part that
I
I
don't
couldn't
know. I think
suspend my disbelief. If he had stayed on the ground, but him getting up and finishing the match and then walking out of there, just
yeah,
fine.
I guess you're right. Like kicking out of all their finishers and like kicking out at one, that was enough to get him over as a beast. As if
Yeah.
defeating the Undertaker
And it's just
and
going to
John
turn
Cena
into
wasn't
something.
enough.
Now we know he's going to be fighting Roman Reigns, most likely, him and
Yeah,
Reigns.
but I mean, I think
They're
we
going to be
can all
doing the rib
agree.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. But we can all agree he turned in the performance. I don't want to say of a lifetime, but it. Oh well, the thing I was actually
I'm
going to
not
say.
entirely going to agree with that because I think it's Rollins who was the highlight
Yeah,
of the match.
that's exactly what I was about to say. I was
Okay.
about to say I shudder to think. I shudder to think of what this match would have been had they left it as a one-on-one confrontation without Rollins being in there. I mean, he made that match just as much as Lesnar, and I'm not taking.
And it
Well,
was
I'll take
really Rollins and
Roll.
Lesnar, their interactions that
Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking everything away from Cena. He had a few cool spots in it, and he contributed. He can wrestle that to an extent. All
a
right, I
Michinoku
know.
driver.
Yeah, and that power bomb thing, which I know that's like mostly Rollins, but it looked cool. He's adequate in the ring when we can forget about what a annoying doofus John Cena is week to week with his promos, and when he's in there with somebody that we care about, or in this case, two people we care about. Um, I don't have a problem with John Cena. I can get into his matches if he's in there with talent that he has chemistry with, unlike, Randy Orton. God, their matches are awful.
Uh,
Ugh,
Randy Orton couldn't even pull off good matches with Roman Reigns.
no.
A lot of people, a lot of comments I've been reading said that the his intestinal problems were what killed his momentum, but
Oh
I think
God.
those matches with Randy Orton is what killed his momentum. He was having
What ki-
problems before he left.
what killed his momentum is that he was exposed as a single star for not being ready.
Hmm.
And it's not just that. He's he's adequate. He has a cool look to him. He can do his 5 moves of doom well. But it's just you got to attribute it to this shift that I was talking about earlier in what wrestling fans are looking for and who we relate to.
Hmm.
And it's just not Roman Reigns anymore. I think children and women, there's definitely a place for him with children and women.
And black
Eh,
people.
Okay, if you want to put it that bluntly. And yes, like macho homophobic dudes that feel like they have to buy into like a jacked up powerhouse,
Yes.
which is what they kept calling him,
Uh-huh.
beating it across our
As
heads.
as JR would say, a young stud.
Yeah. And I'll admit he's got a look, he's got that movie star look, but I don't know, they need to just listen to their fans because
They're literally screaming at them what they
yeah,
want.
they should be happy that they should be counting their lucky stars. They should be thrilled over the moon that there's still a rabid fan base for this shit. For fake fighting in the year of 2015 when people people's attention spans and passion for things are at an all-time low because it's just on to the next. Like people are jaded as fuck.
No,
So
Vince McMahon's thought process is that's just what we do. We make movies. No, 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 no.
yeah, well, they should be very very lucky and thankful that there's people that are as into Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler and even Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt to an extent because they wanted them to win. I mean, once they realized Daniel wasn't Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, and Ziggler, that was the silver lining
Yeah, let's
or
not
the
just
light at the
say
end of the
the
tunnel.
Rumble match is Daniel Bryan isn't the only person who could have won the Rumble match. A lot of people
No,
are
that
like, Daniel Bryan doesn't win, so you're all pissed off, and that's not the
well,
case.
I mean, let's put things into perspective. The air was let out of that balloon the second he was eliminated. I mean, you could just feel the vibe. I wasn't in the arena, but I was watching through my television set, and even that way, I could feel just all of the air being let out, and just it was just deflated at that point. But
The
they could have
audience's
recovered.
hearts collectively broke, and you could
Yes,
you could see it.
but they could have recovered from it had they booked the match in a reasonable, sensible, smart way from then on out. But it's WWE.
Well,
It's not what they're gonna
let's
do.
talk about the Rumble. I loved Bray Wyatt's dominating the first half.
Oh yeah,
I
I mean
was
he's a
I
heel.
was like
He's a
ready for
heel,
him to win
but
the whole thing at that point. I'm like, wow, this
yeah,
is over with me.
he's over as a heel, and people enjoy to boo him. But by the end of it, people were cheering, and I don't even think it's just because they wanted him to win. If Brian wasn't, I think it's because they realized, wow, this guy, he's a believable top guy. He's really come into his own as a singles guy, and he put in probably. I I know he was in there like for a long time, and that he was featured heavily more so than anybody else. But he put in probably the best performance in the Rumble.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, he
That's a
looked
safe
believable.
assumption.
He looked believable. I don't recall him botching anything, and
Theatrics.
Yeah, he was just good. Like he even had a promo spot where he got on the mic.
Hmm.
He he just I don't know. It's a shame that they had him and this crop of other guys that they could have picked, and they went with the guy who, let's be honest here, whether you like it or not, he will be a star. He will be a star, and he will be a world champion one in the future. But he's not ready,
He'll be a world
right?
champion. I don't know about a star. What really
Yeah,
qualifies as a star in WWE? And not even Randy Orton, I'd say, is really a star. Cena's the only one who's had any kind of crossover talent out of that bunch.
yeah. He's transcended professional wrestling. Like anytime I talk to like coworkers or like people I barely know, and it somehow gets brought up that I'm a wrestling fan, I'm like, "What do you know about wrestling in the year 2015?" And they're like, John Cena." So like he's synonymous with wrestling at this point, and
Yep.
that's, you can take that how you will. I think it's kind of sad, but you got it, to his credit and the WWE's credit, they did create a mega superstar out of Cena. The problem is they haven't done it with anybody else.
Let's make
They
a
think,
let's make a distinction though. Um, John Cena has charisma right out of the box. John Cena had a lot of things going for him that Roman Reigns doesn't, and
yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
Roman
John
Reigns
Cena
can
has
get much better.
yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is that they don't have to be the ones to make the star. They don't have to have this notion going in that this is our guy. It doesn't have to be predetermined like that. That's what a lot of the fans resent. Like just because they want Roman Reigns to be a star doesn't mean we do, and that doesn't mean that he can be or that he's ready at this point in time. They have Daniel Bryan, they have Dolph Ziggler, they have Bray Wyatt, all of these guys on a silver platter that are more ready and more capable. And
Yep, like the
it's just
Boogeyman.
yeah, and DDP, I can't wait for his
What did
his
you think
run
of the
as champ.
surprises?
Aside from Bubba Dudley, weak, very weak, underwhelming. I mean, DDP, if we hadn't seen him or if he hadn't been involved in the community in any way in the last decade,
It would have
then
been
it would have
better.
been a bigger deal. But I mean,
Bubba was the only true surprise, and if you followed like the rumor sites, you would have known that he may have shown up.
oh yeah, yeah, I
But it
listened
was
to
still
several.
cool.
Yeah, I listened to several podcasts that all predicted it, and then I started to see it pop up on the dirt sheet. So I had a, I was aware that it was a rumor, so I wasn't as shocked, but it was still cool. Like the pop that he got was big, and it was a cool nostalgia kick.
Uh-huh.
I've read that they're
And him and
considering.
Devon did very well in the Rumble.
Oh yeah, Devon was great. Isn't that funny that WWE's mentality is just let's plug in any old black guy. The one thing I want to know is, did R-Truth botch that by not doing "What's up," or like was that a concentrated effort to not do it? Because it seemed like the audience was a little pissed for half a second when he came down on the guy's crotch, and then they realized, oh wait, that was not performed to perfection. That was not executed correctly the way we remember it.
That sounds like WWE logic. It sounds like a conscious WWE decision to not do that.
Yeah, maybe they were like, let's not get Bubba too over again, because then people will realize that our current crop of characters are underwhelming.
Yep.
Not that Bubba Dudley is like some amazing character, but I mean, when you look at the mid carders from back then and the mid carders now, it's like, wow, they're not developing these guys in any meaningful way, and they're not over. A lot of them just aren't over, and the ones that have a chance to, WWE just stubbornly doesn't allow them to be. And that's another thing that I feel like we have to keep uh, reiterating here is that I don't understand what the problem would be with Daniel Bryan being in the main event 2 years in a row when he's still the guy.
I
Why
seen
not?
I seen comments say that Daniel Bryan's had his run. That would be like saying Austin had his run after that year at WrestleMania he fought Shawn Michaels. Okay,
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
like
it's
saying that's
absurd.
oh yeah.
It's absurd. This is the guy, the closest they've got to an organically, universally loved superstar that they so badly crave, and they're just because he doesn't fit a certain mold or a certain uh, image of what they have in their head of what they think is a superstar, he's not going to get that opportunity again. I don't get it. He's over. People in the audience love him. People at home love him. Like I don't get it. I mean, yeah, he has his detractors. Everybody does, but why would they not capitalize on it and ride it out?
Here's
You
my
know?
theory. I think it comes down to this. Vince McMahon is trying to prove that he makes the wrestlers and the stars, and that the stars don't make him and his success. And I think that's what it's about.
Oh, that's so sad because that could be true at one point, but as I was saying, it's just evolved from then. It shouldn't be about that. They should be glad that people are still interested in professional wrestling, fake fighting in the year 2015.
I,
And if
I
people,
almost guarantee, but that is Vince's mindset.
oh yeah, I don't doubt it for a second, but they should really take into account what people are saying because that's their core audience. And why would you not? Why would you want to deprive them of that? Why wouldn't you want to capitalize on everything you can and allow Daniel Bryan or whoever, Dean Ambrose even, to to really step up and be a big star when clearly, I mean, they maybe they just thought that Roman Reigns was that guy and that Daniel Bryan had cooled off. Do you think that they're that delusional that
No,
they were
otherwise
back?
they wouldn't have gone through such lengths to have Daniel Bryan bury himself 2 days in a row on TV. First of all, they sold the Rumble on Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, you're right. They knew it. They knew it. It's just I can't believe the decision making. He got what was it? He was in there like what 5 minutes when he came in at number 10. Did they not know that when he got eliminated, the rest of the Rumble match would have been was going to get shat on? Did they not know that? At least if he got eliminated in the final four, that the rest of the Rumble match could have been salvaged, and not every
They
guy that
think
came out.
they think we have the memories of Goldfish. They think that after another five guys come out after the elimination, we're gonna forget that Daniel Bryan was able to win.
Oh, it's just pathetic. And if it was in some just like Midwest, like podunk city,
Yeah, maybe
maybe it would have worked. But it was in
not in Philly.
Philadelphia. Yeah, it like what I don't know. It's just the brass. They don't get it. They get it to an extent, and they're successful obviously as a company for a reason. And there's still people that make good decisions, but I'd say by and large, they're out of touch, and they really need to start getting their shit together. Not that I think people are going to start canceling the network in droves like they threatened, and nor do I think people are going to stop watching. I mean, hell, even I DVR'd the fake Raw that aired last night and skimmed through it. We're gonna be watching whether it's shit or not, but I don't know if they want to see any sort of increase in their audience. I think they need to start giving us more of what we want. But then again, I guess you could argue that only appeals to the core audience, Daniel Bryan, whereas they think maybe a guy like Roman Reigns will bring in new people, which
It's
they're
not the
so set
case
on.
because if they that Cena and Orton didn't bring in new people. They made that company stagnant for 10 years. They weren't those kinds of draws that were bringing in new people.
Well, who could though? Who could bring in new people?
Exciting exciting wrestlers like geez, if you have your roster full of Daniel Bryans and Finn Balor and Sami Zayn's, there's going to be more of a buzz about the product if they're
Yeah,
given opportunities to shine.
I honestly think that, and if that alienates a small percentage of the fans that are holding on to the idea that everybody has to be a jacked up monster and that everybody has to look larger than life to be successful in that business,
Well, they can go
then
watch
so be it.
TNA.
Yeah, so be it. Like I don't know. It's like they're so hesitant to shift the company into the direction that it needs to be in to appeal to the people that are paying and supporting it the most. It's
But
just
Roman Reigns is badass, man. He's got a
all right. Look,
Superman punch. He's wearing armor.
I don't hate the guy. I don't think he quite deserves. Really, I'm not being facetious here.
This guy's
I
going to
don't
be a
think he quite
millionaire, so I'm not going to
deserves
feel too
the
sorry for him.
backlash and the hatred. Yeah, I know, and he's already 100,000 there, and I already
He's
don't
being
feel sorry for
handed
him.
everything on a silver platter, so I'm not going to shed too many tears.
Yeah, did you see him address that by the way last night?
Yes, let's get to that a little bit
That's
later.
the thing. That's what changed. All right, let me just say this real quickly though.
Okay.
That's what changed my mind a little bit and swayed me to like want to give him a chance because he
Yeah, but that's what that
genuinely.
comment was supposed to do.
I know it was to condition us to feel that way, but he actually does seem like a nice guy. Like really. And I'll just guess we'll get into it more later and like talk about the Brock Lesnar interview and stuff, but
You know who's a
he
nice guy? Daniel Bryan for burying
I
himself for Roman Reigns.
I know. But like I don't know. He showed more charisma in that interview than he has on WWE television.
It's
Like,
because he wasn't trying to show any at all.
yeah, well, yeah. I feel like he felt a little more comfortable because he wasn't uh I don't know. He wasn't trying to appease a live audience.
He
He
wasn't
wasn't.
talking about freaking Jack and the Beanstalk and those
Yeah,
fucking
he
bullshit
wasn't
promos he was doing.
lines or a script, and he wasn't pandering as much. So, and I don't think that like I'm sure they gave him like a basis
Hmm.
for what to say, but he wasn't like reading lines verbatim off of a teleprompter or anything, and that's what made it seem real. And I don't know, like I kind of got a quiver of excitement when him and Lesnar went face to face because he say what you will, Reigns looks like a believable opponent, and he looks like a superstar, but that doesn't mean anything when your skills
It's gonna be a
are.
shitty match. That's
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything when your skills are mediocre at best, your mic skills suck too, and when the fans are shitting on you. Like if the fans don't want to see you, it doesn't matter how uh born and bred, to quote Connor or Victor or whoever, it doesn't matter how born and bred for the business you are if you just aren't connecting.
hmm. Well. Let's
But
talk about how Daniel Bryan was unceremoniously thrown out.
yeah, you give your thoughts on that.
Uh, it was done just to further Reigns. It was done to pull Daniel Bryan back, make him look like less legitimate.
That's
It was a
so
swerve
fucking that's so fucking stupid. Did they
and
not realize
transparent.
that's just gonna get him more over? The more you hold him down and the more you stifle him and the more you keep him away from that main
Okay,
event scene, the
let me
more.
ask you this: do you think that that's what they're going for? Do you think they're doing this to do another Daniel Bryan swerve and to get people interested in him again and try to make that
He,
momentum come back?
I
Or are
want to believe I want to believe that, but he was already over.
that's true? Yeah. See, I
If
don't
he had
believe
came
it.
back if he had came back from his injury and got a lukewarm reception, like yes, okay, goat boys back. We appreciate him, but that fire's still not there. Then I would say maybe, but we all saw that he was still just as over and that people still wanted to see him succeed just as badly.
Yep.
So I think they did it. I think they got him out of there early. I don't know, maybe to just focus on Roman Reigns more. Like I guess they thought maybe if they had Bryan and Reigns in there at the same time, then surely they're going to turn on Reigns. But maybe if Bryan's not in there and he's not a factor, they'll get behind Reigns because he will be the de facto, um, I don't want to say underdog, but the de facto choice that the fans will really root for, which is complete utter bullshit. I can't believe
Hmm.
they even would have thought that, so that can't be it.
Yeah, they actually believe that if Daniel Bryan is buried a little bit, then the audience will have no choice but to gravitate towards Reigns. When there's probably eight other guys that are more over than Roman Reigns right now.
Yeah, I mean it. The second, the second Ambrose got dumped out, I mean it was just
Let's talk about that for a second
my
because
heart broke. This all hope was lost. Like and you could feel it. Nobody was happy.
did you
Nobody. I don't even.
notice the ragdolling from Ziggler, Wyatt, and Ambrose
Yeah,
as they just went limp and
let's
let themselves fall.
let's
And
have let's
that's it.
have these washed up has been giants that can barely get around in the ring anymore, that have vastly overstayed their welcome. Let's have them just completely throw out our crop of young, over, fresh future stars.
Who
Let's just
won't
have
even
them.
fight back.
What?
Who didn't even fight back.
Well, there's a reason for that, Dan. The bionic WMD, weapon of mass destruction, the knockout punch.
Yep. And we didn't get any shots of them on the outside of the ring. Once they were gone, it's like, nope. Get the fans' attention right off them.
Yep. It's unreal, the booking of that match in
And just
general.
like last year, the fans were presented with your winner, and they booed. And
Yeah.
can I bring something up, because I see this one a lot on
Yeah,
comments?
say what you
Uh,
want. It's an
Reigns
open forum.
Reigns was not over at last year's Rumble. They only cheered for him because he was the last WWE guy against Batista.
Yeah,
When it was
exactly.
just him, Sheamus, and Batista, they were all getting booed, just like Kane, Big Show, and Reigns were tonight. And they cheered for Rusev just like they did Reigns last year,
Oh
because
yeah,
they just didn't want Reigns to win.
we want Rusev. They wanted the guy, the Russian sympathizer who hates America and who has never been a babyface in this company. They wanted him. Now, in hindsight, like with those people, if they had time to sleep on it, I think just about any person with common sense, any fan that understands the business, would realize that that wouldn't make any sense, and that obviously Roman Reigns, as much as we hate it, is the better choice for the Mania main event
I
than
disagree.
Rusev. You really think that Rusev versus Lesnar would be a bigger draw? Even I think that Roman
I don't
Reigns.
think either of them are a draw. I think
Huh.
Lesnar's the draw, and no matter who you put with him, it's not going to matter much, except unless it's Daniel Bryan.
Dude, yeah, that I mean, I know we were gonna kind of like get to that and just work our way to that being the possible outcome, but I think we discussed it last time. That's a marquee match, and the fact that they passed up on it when Daniel Bryan is still hot, he's still over, it's still his time, whether they want to believe that or not. The fact that they just squandered that to rush a guy into the main event scene who clearly isn't ready and who the fans aren't ready for, it's just laughable to me. It is atrocious. It's poor decision making. It's bad business. It's not best for business. It's not.
Let's
It's not.
talk
And
about The Rock.
I'm getting all riled up here.
Yes, the Rock comes down and he holds up Roman Reigns' hand. And do you see Roman Reigns has that mongoloid smile on his face, while The Rock is his face looks he looks devastated for Roman. He looks nervous. As the boos start pouring in, Rock gives this puzzled look like, this isn't working. They wanted me to give him the rub and get Roman over, but they're not buying it.
I what I think it is I think The Rock is a very wealthy man. I think he's very busy with, a career outside of pretend fighting, and I don't think he keeps up with any of it. I mean, I know he probably
So you
like,
think I think he keeps up with it more than a Batista did.
yeah, I think he has, he tweets and stuff, and
I think he realizes that Daniel Bryan was the man.
probably, but I think he thought that Reigns would get a better reaction than that. He legitimately looked bewildered. That was not
And
a word.
he looked worried for Roman. You could see, like, they almost looked sad when you watch the post show on the network. I don't know if you saw it. The post interview with The Rock.
Oh
and
yeah,
Reigns.
he was rattled. That was one of the most.
They looked like they were crying, and not just because he won the Rumble, but because
he
there
was
something
shaken
going on.
up. I mean, I think it honestly bothered him to like go out there to booze when it was supposed to be some huge, momentous occasion
For his
for
cousin.
like. Yeah, I think he was shaken up and rattled and just shocked by it. and his promo suffered. That was one of the most patchy.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was one of the it was still better than like 99%
He was taking
of
off
the
his
roster.
game.
Yeah, it was all over the place. Like he had to like interrupt Byron Saxon, whoever it was, doing the interview, and
Oh, it
like
was that
talk
new
to
guy.
somebody.
It was the white Byron.
Oh yeah, yeah. And he had to like talk to somebody off to the side. It just didn't flow like a normal Rock promo would, even for a backstage promo on the shitty app or whatever.
And
It
Reigns
was
is
just
sitting there like, yeah,
believe
Rock.
that.
Yeah, Rock. Tell him to like me.
Yeah, believe that. Look at the blood on my lip.
And Reigns is laughing at The Rock like he's a fan. It just kind of showed. It kind of showed how like not ready Reigns is. He's still seems like a spectator.
Yeah.
He's sitting there marking out to The Rock. He should be the one controlling that interview, selling himself, not having The Rock do it for him.
Yeah, it just looked like
It looked desperate.
It looked like hand holding and coddling. It was pathetic.
Transparent once again, like really transparent.
Yeah, like I see some people saying that Daniel Bryan can't cut a promo and stuff. At least he does it on his own.
Yes,
and isn't talking
well
about
enough.
beanstalks. Yeah, he might not be the most charismatic or like funny, but he's just genuine when he talks. Like I never get bored from hearing Daniel Bryan talk. Do you? When it comes to Roman Reigns, it's just like, oh, this is so manufactured. Aside from his sit
I'm being
down,
sold something.
yeah. Aside from his
immediately.
sit down promo last night, which we were being sold something, but at the same time, I feel like he was being genuine, and I kind of felt sorry for him.
Well,
But
let's
when
talk
he's a
about
millionaire,
that. How the Blizzard got Raw canceled, and you could
Oh.
say that
we talked earlier on in the day, and you made the comment that it was highly convenient for WWE.
It
at a
was,
time
and
when,
if you do look at the, I don't know where the travel bans were on the East Coast. I know there were some in Massachusetts, randomly around. They shouldn't have impacted like the whole East Coast. But
It just, I don't know. Like
when
did
they showed
not-
outside of headquarters, when you see the cars leaving, it's not like anyone was snowed in. I'm here where I am.
So
we got
you're saying?
We got
you're
3
saying-
inches of snow where I am.
Oh wow. Well,
3 inches.
that's a lot. I live in Texas.
Okay,
and-
well, compared to Texas, that's a lot. But that is not
so
travel
what you're saying is they could have found an arena or done a live show at the headquarters.
They probably could have just done the show at the arena, I'm guessing.
Oh,
I don't
at
think
the
anyone.
original-
I don't think anyone was snowed in. I don't think anyone was actually snowed in that night.
Okay, I thought you were saying they should have done it in Connecticut and like came up with an alternative arena or something, which I was gonna kind of debunk because that's really short notice to like
No,
expect people to come out and stuff.
I don't think anyone was snowed in last night.
But well, they were saying that there was like a state ban on travel or something. So I don't know. You're right. They probably could have done it if they pulled enough strings.
If there's
and
a ban
actually
on
did it.
travel, then why did they end Raw with the cars leaving the building to cleared roads?
I don't know. Who knows? There's conflicting stories about it. I'm over it. I survived 1 week without Raw. I mean, God knows we could use it. You know, I feel like almost at this point.
It was an interesting thing that they did. First of all, they showed the entire Royal Rumble match and the
Oh, that
championship
was
match.
great. That was
I
great
thought-
for fans that can't afford or are apathetic over.
Okay,
getting
it's
the-
not good for the people who spent $50 for it. That
No,
sucks.
but I mean, who's still doing that? If you're still doing that,
There
I'm
are.
with JBL and Cole on this. You're an idiot. You know, they like to insult their fans that still pay $50 or $60 every week. But it's weird. Like, it's 2015. I know I've said that a lot in this podcast tonight, but if you don't have a Roku or a router or something to where you can get internet access and pay $10 for a network that isn't even a 6 month.
I'm just saying some
commitment
people
anymore.
some people can't afford internet still. Some people throughout the country, and it's hard to believe, but some people aren't even wired for broadband internet. Even some of the people that have internet aren't wired for good internet, and they need to
But
get it.
that would come out to less money a month than spending 50.
No, because
or
you're spending hundreds of dollars. You're spending like $100 on an internet plan, and then $10 for Raw. as opposed to just spending 50 on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I don't live quite in that state of poverty, so I guess I can't
Not just
relate. But
poverty, but ruralness. There's a
yeah,
lot of places
I,
that
I
don't
I
have
guess I guess that
high-speed internet.
service has to still be up, so I guess they shouldn't be insulting and just completely ravaging their fans that
Not
still
not
use that
yet. Not
method.
to the extent that they are.
Yeah, well, what were we talking about? What were we getting on? Oh, by the way, here in like 5 minutes, that friend of mine is gonna call in and chime in on his thoughts.
All right.
Uh,
Well,
I
I'm
don't know if
gonna
he.
go on to the interviews that they played on Raw after showing those matches. I mean, good on them to show those matches to make up for there being no Raw.
Yeah, that was nice of
There's,
them.
but there's
Even
two.
though,
There's another side to it that's kind of like, hey, that's kind of fucked up. People just paid for that.
yeah,
But overall, I'm happy that they played it.
no, it's a nice gesture, but it's also counterproductive because anybody who decided to check that out that isn't a network subscriber, they're not going to subscribe to it after they saw that shit fest.
That is also true.
Then
And
again, it was selective. They didn't show a lot of the mid card fodder, and they showed a great fucking triple threat that could sway people into getting back into the product.
mhm.
But the Rumble match, not so much.
they
So I
got
don't, I
to
don't know.
they got to have Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan cut a couple promos in a controlled environment with no audience to cheer Daniel Bryan, no audience to boo Roman Reigns.
Yes, it was very
Convenient.
convenient, and it was a good thing for them. But I don't know. I can't complain at the same time because it's refreshing to not have to sit through 3 hours of Raw for 1 week. Which, by the way, I was going to say earlier, I wouldn't care if it was bi-weekly at this point, if it's going to be 3 hours. And it also gave us a chance to just see something different. It was kind of unique because they don't really interview. The last interview I can remember being in that vein was leading up to, I think, um, well, what pay-per-view was it when Chris Jericho and Wyatt had their big match? Because I remember they interviewed them in that style, and I thought that was really compelling
Oh,
because they don't really do that.
that was WWF in your house 24 Friends Forever.
Oh God, no, really. Like, do you remember? It's really bothering me. What it wasn't WrestleMania because John Cena and Wyatt battled at WrestleMania. SummerSlam? No.
Could
Yeah,
have been.
yeah. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of shit to remember. I really admire the people that or maybe I feel bad for the people that can really remember like the entire timeline of wrestling
Anyway,
history.
Daniel Bryan, he buried himself by saying he said that he didn't have his eye on the prize, and Roman Reigns did. He and Daniel Bryan said that he wasn't trying hard enough.
That was kind of brief though. I think he could have it could have been worse. He could have buried himself more. Like he could have really elaborated on I failed you. I failed all of you. Cuz he kind of in a way took some shots at Reigns. He was like I wasn't handed this on a silver platter. I didn't have the rock. So maybe they're actually teasing something between the two like cuz if Reigns gets booed out of the building at the next Raw, which is going to happen and it's going to happen on the live SmackDown this week, then they might want to reconsider what they're going with as the main event. But I don't think they will. I don't know if I've said this yet, but it's kind of like an important thing. Unlike last year when they altered their plans that
Hmm.
they were set on for the fans, they're not going to do that 2 years in a row. I don't think. I think they're
It
set in their ways.
depends. They might not have a choice. They didn't want to alter them last year, but the fans kind of pushed them there.
Well, they really had to last year, but even I think Brock Lesnar versus Reigns, that wouldn't be as god awful as Randy Orton versus
It's the
Batista.
thing is that nobody wanted to see Randy Orton or Batista in the main event, especially fighting each other.
Yeah,
In this
but
case, Lesnar can still get that match over to a degree,
yeah,
so they're
people
not going
still
to
want to
boo it.
see. Yeah, they still want to see Lesnar no matter what.
But they
So what I
might
think
boo. I mean, they're going to boo when Reigns wins.
here's the thing. I believe wholeheartedly, 100% that they're going through with that match. But what they need to do is turn Reigns heel and have Heyman align with Reigns and turn on Lesnar. But after last night, after that really good articulate promo that Heyman delivered to Roman Reigns, he made so many good points as to why he wouldn't do that and why Lesnar is the client to go with. I don't see them doing that either. Like
Paul
what
Heyman's not
reason
going
would
to
he?
get Reigns over either.
No, he wouldn't, but that would still make more sense. Like because Reigns is supposed to be this larger than life babyface, and
Lesnar's the babyface in this now.
he is, but by proxy, by default.
It's not gonna matter like why though. He's the babyface, and if
Well,
he
he was
loses to
already-
Reigns, he's going
Yeah.
to be leaving the company babyface. That doesn't really make sense either.
No, but I mean, he was already a tweener in the last few weeks. People were already starting to get behind him, so
Yes.
it's going to be really interesting to see if they just go with that dynamic and let the fans cheer or boo whoever they want, or if they actually make some turns and creative changes to kind of fit the crowd reactions
What was
more.
with that Ambrose angle on Raw?
I don't know. I think they just
went nowhere.
wanted. I don't know. They just wanted to. I don't know. It's an interesting thing with Ambrose because he can't. I don't want him to turn into too much comedy, too much comedic relief. But it's fine if you toe that line. Brian Pillman kind of had that going for him.
Yes.
Like there's other guys throughout history that
But
you
in
could be compared to.
Brian Pillman also pulled a gun on Stone Cold, so
I know.
there was a
I know.
contrast there.
Yeah, they can't. I think they run the risk of having Ambrose become too comedic and too. I don't want to say
They do.
jovial, but
Well, they started him too comedic. He's slowly improving. That's how I see it. With
yeah,
the gack, the Nickelodeon slime, and the briefcase.
yeah. There's a perfect balance. They just haven't quite found it yet between like serious competitor and guy that can also make you laugh. Because I mean, The Rock had it, Mick Foley had it. There's guys that can pull it off, and he's certainly one of them. It's just a matter of finding that right balance. So we'll see. I still think Ambrose was more. It would have been weird seeing him in the main event already against Lesnar, but I think fans would have rather had that than Reigns.
Jeez,
Don't you agree?
I think if you have Rollins cash in at Fastlane and make the WrestleMania event a three-way between the Shield, that would sell. That's purely fan imagination booking, magical booking.
It would. I think maybe WWE doesn't want two triple threats in a row for the main event, but who cares? I mean, as we saw two nights ago.
I mean, come on, they had The Rock versus Cena twice, once in a lifetime twice.
Yeah, and like they proved 2 nights ago, a triple threat can be a kick-ass match. I really like triple threats. I've seen a lot of hate towards them online and just from people in general, like that I know, that think they're not really an ideal match.
I like triple threats. I think one of the worst main events I've ever seen was the 4-way from WrestleMania 2000.
I don't think I've seen that. I haven't gone back and watched that.
That's the one with a McMahon in every corner had their pick of wrestler. And
yeah, that's just overbooked.
Yep.
That's just bloated. That sounds like a bloated mess. I
think it was
know
Triple
about
H, The Rock, Foley, and Big Show.
Yeah, I know about it. Well, isn't that the WrestleMania where like there were no one-on-one matches? Like the whole thing was just overbooked tag team stuff.
Teddy Long, Wet Dream.
Oh God, it's so beautiful. Look at all the tag teams. All right, my buddy Brian, I think, is about to call in. 1 second. He's gonna have similar opinions, but he's from Kentucky, so Kentuckians, they might have a slightly different take on the New York and Texan response.
And he's naked.
Yes. He's sexy Brian. All right. Yeah. So we're gonna have call-ins, and we're gonna have different friends of ours probably.
Shut
Uh,
up. Hey guys.
Hello.
who are we talking to?
This is you know who it is, man. You called me. We all have fake names here, right?
Yes, I have
we
several.
we didn't really stick to that on the first show, Dan. I mean, we called our. So, actually, I did. I came up with Jimmy T, which is a play on my middle name, but he was just like, I'm Dan.
I'm Daniel Danielson.
Daniel Danielson. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
So what's yours? Brian?
Stinky McCheese.
Excellent.
Oh, okay, Stinky.
That's a Vince McMahon gimmick right there.
Brian, you're a friend of mine, an internet friend of mine. I've known you online for a few years now.
Yeah.
We've discussed wrestling quite often. I haven't really talked to you in depth about it. We've been discussing it for the last hour or so. How do you feel about the way the main event of the Royal Rumble went down? And by main event, I don't mean the awesome triple threat. I mean the Rumble match itself.
I hated it.
Why did you hate it?
That settles that.
Thanks for calling in, Brian.
Well, as you know, I hate Roman Reigns with a passion. And
Okay.
besides that, the way everyone,
Why
like,
do you hate Roman Reigns?
why do I hate him?
Yes.
His promos are terrible, and I don't think he's a very good wrestler.
Do you think a lot of people say that he's not ready. Do you think he could ever be ready? I'm not sure that they're betting on the right horse with him.
I mean, maybe. He's definitely not right now. Maybe in like a year, maybe years from now, but right now, no.
I gotta say, man, I did not picture you having quite the Kentuckian drawl that you have.
Do I really have one? Damn it. Sorry, guys.
No, it's fine. I know I have.
It's
a little
okay.
bit
I have an anti-draw filter that we can run over this whole podcast.
He's got a lot of plugins and effects that he can employ. I listened to myself back on tape, and I sound really redneck, so it's not a big deal. Just audience, like the three people that are listening to this, know that we're not country bumpkins. We are somewhat educated, intelligent individuals that actually have valid opinions on this stuff. That's how insecure we are. I have to pound that into people's heads. But no, Brian, I find it funny that you have a passion, or a hatred rather, for Roman Reigns for having a lack of wrestling skills and promo ability, when I seem to recall you being firmly behind Zack Ryder several years ago. He was your boy.
Zack Ryder is entertaining as shit, man.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain this one to me because I don't understand the Zack Ryder thing.
When I first met Brian and first started talking to him, and when we first started actually discovering that we were both in the wrestling, I remember he was under the impression that Ryder had big things in his future, and that
No, it's not true. I knew he got over on his own, but I knew he would be punished for it. I didn't think he'd be world champion or anything.
Well, did you think that he would have a better place in the company than he does now, at least?
Yeah, but yeah.
Look
Look at all the merch he sold.
I don't know. I just never saw it. Was he a draw of any kind? I don't remember that many people.
They made so much Zack Ryder merch, and then after they made all the money they could off of him, they just buried him.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, there's something to that.
I remember his name being chanted during a Rock promo, which that says something in itself.
Yeah.
But it wasn't persistent, like with Daniel Bryan.
Zack Ryder has a fan base. I just don't understand why.
Like, the couple seconds he was in the Rumble last night...
Did you come in your pants?
No. I came close. But the couple of seconds he wrestled in the Rumble was better than anything Roman Reigns has ever done.
Okay, I'll give him that.
I have to strongly disagree with that. As much as I don't think Roman Reigns fits the mold of what the modern, passionate, hardcore wrestling fan wants to see, I still think he's more suited for that role than Zack Ryder ever could dream to be. I mean, let's be honest, people. Look at Roman Reigns. As much as you might resent him for his everything being handed to him and stuff, that guy looks like a bona fide.
But you know what? When Orton someday leaves and Cena someday leaves, then I'll accept Reigns in that spot. But right now, he's just taking up space.
What did you think of? We haven't discussed this yet, even before you got on the show, Brian. What do you both think of? Well, no, we did discuss
Of
it.
Jerry the King Lawler on SmackDown.
No, nobody gives a shit. We did talk. We did briefly talk about it. I just forgot. What did you think of Bubba's return, Brian?
He looked good.
He is in the best shape of his career, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty astounding that he's one of those guys that after he left WWE, I figured would just sit at home and like maybe have a few like indie bookings and just like get really fat and like have a bunch of embarrassing alcohol and drug abuse stories surface. But I mean, is for much of a dick that he is, that people claim he is, good on him for rejuvenating and revitalizing his career. I mean, I know it was in TNA of all places, but
I thought it was pretty funny that he had R-Truth do all the Devon spots just because he was the nearest black guy.
And
wait, you mean that wasn't Devon?
We can't tell. They just plug any old
they all look the
blackie in
same.
there.
They all look the same.
Yeah, I mean, WWE has a history of blatant racism. They don't think it's racism, but as they say,
just ask Del Rio.
Whoop, there it is. Look, I mean, other podcasts, and I know everywhere has said this, so this isn't an original thought, but there is no stronger indication that Vince McMahon is out of touch than the fact that they scripted R-Truth not once, but twice to say, whoop, there it is, in front of a live audience. I mean, I haven't heard anybody say that since I was in middle school, for Christ's sake.
I think last night is plenty of evidence that he's out of touch. I mean, the crowd just rejected it completely.
What? Rejected what? The R-Truth?
Roman Reigns.
Oh, okay. We're getting back to the important stuff now.
Yes.
Outside of Zack Ryder and R-Truth, and even Bubba Dudley. Yeah, they rejected it big time, and the fact that
they had a whole audience chanting, "We want refunds," and this is bullshit.
They even chanted, "We want Rusev." Like they wanted the evil foreigner to win.
And
it's
not because
exactly
it's not because it's a good swerve. Like when Austin was thrown through the cage at Valentine's Day Massacre when he was fighting Vince McMahon, the audience didn't chant, "We want refunds." They were in it. They loved the story. They loved the bad guys. This is just cheap heat. They just genuinely don't like him as a performer, and that's why they're booing.
But is it going to continue? Do you think he'll get booed next week on Raw?
I hope so.
Me too, but I don't think he will. I don't think he'll get booed again.
I think he will, but it won't be as effective as it would have been this week.
He'll definitely get booed at WrestleMania and the night after.
Definitely, especially if he wins at Mania.
He's gonna.
What do you guys think the idea with Seth Rollins' Money in the Bank is?
Who knows? Honestly,
he hasn't got much longer to carry that around. I think Money in the Bank's the first pay-per-view after Mania, isn't it?
Oh, does it expire after a year?
I think it does.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that. Wow. I mean, I'm sure they've addressed it at some point, but I don't think they've ever gone that long. So
I'm thinking he'll cash in at WrestleMania after Reigns wins, kind of like a SummerSlam Bryan type deal when Orton cashed in on him.
I'll enjoy that.
Yeah, that'd be good. We were discussing earlier, Brian, the idea of a Shield triple threat at WrestleMania. Like, say Brock is a dick. I mean, when we know he is, but say he's an even bigger dick than we all had him pegged for, and he, like, for some reason exits the company before WrestleMania and drops the belt to, like, Rollins. Would you be interested in a Shield triple threat as the main event? Would that be a believable main event to you?
It'd be a believable main event, but I wouldn't want to see it. And I'll tell you why. It would end with Reigns just spearing both of them at the same time, and would just pin them both.
Yeah, you're right.
One in each
Oh.
arm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right, because Vince sees Ambrose and Rollins as little specks of dust, little twigs next to Reigns.
Like in Rumble, they were literal rag dolls. Ambrose and
Well, not Rollins. God, can you imagine how Rollins would have been treated? He probably would have been out of there faster than Ziggler was.
Rollins is in a nice position right now.
Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
put my foot in my mouth there. That was a dumb thing of me to say because he's the one guy that they've really, really gotten behind. And it's surprising. If you had told me a year ago that he was going to be the one that was positioned in the best place and that would have been had the most secure position, I would have said, "Are you nuts?"
But you know what? He's risen to the occasion. Reigns hasn't. They've both been handed something, and Rollins is doing amazing things with it.
I've seen a lot of people saying Rollins is not a believable main eventer and that he hasn't risen to the occasion. But I think when you compare him to the work that Reigns has done, it's incomparable. You can't even compare it because Rollins has come into his own and excelled, as Roman Reigns I think put it last night, or like what do you call it when they asked him, like, when you get handed opportunities, what do you have to do with them? You have to, I don't know, like run with them or deliver. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Deliver. Rollins, even though he's got a whiny, grating voice, and even though sometimes he's not faultless. All right, let's be clear on that. He's not perfect, but he's getting good. He's getting better every day.
He's a solid performer.
Yeah, while he's not perfect, he's delivered leaps and bounds over what Reigns has brought to the table. I mean,
it's funny you say that because I remember you saying Rollins wasn't believable as a main eventer.
I know, but I flip-flop on that. I was saying that on our first show that I've been going back and forth on that.
We're converting him.
Yeah, I'm especially after the triple threat. I'm sold. I mean,
Yeah, after last night, I think he definitely belongs.
But here's the thing: the money in him is as a Jeff Hardy type babyface, and after his two big top rope spots,
I don't think so. I love him as a heel.
No, dude.
Yeah, I could see him as like the next Edge.
That's kind of thing that heel that annoys the fuck out of you.
That's never been.
Snarky. I like it.
All right, no, we cannot. That's never been more apparent that he's destined to be a babyface, because he's going to be doing big spots like that crazy. I don't even know what you would call that flip he did.
Phoenix Black.
Why do we need to categorize him as a heel or a babyface though? Look at The Rock. Rock and Jericho always just back and forth.
We don't.
He can do both.
But Jeff Hardy was never a heel in WWF or WWE, whatever. And
Jeff Hardy couldn't talk.
But he was doing death-defying leaps. If you're doing death-defying leaps, that doesn't work as a heel.
I know you think Rollins is like a Jeff Hardy. Rollins is better than Jeff Hardy.
Okay, I would say yes. In a way, I would say all around. Like, if you're firing on all cylinders, he's got more to offer than Jeff Hardy because he can cut a better promo. But I don't know that he'll connect as well as Hardy did with the fans if they do decide to go the babyface route with him, which I think is inevitable. I mean, unless your name is John Cena, you do several turns in your career.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of turns, do you think if the hate keeps up, do you think they'll turn Reigns heel like they did Batista last year?
It's not going to affect anything.
We were discussing that earlier.
It's not going to help the match.
We were trying to figure out if WWE, because we've concluded that they're not doing what they did last year when they succumb to the fans and give them what they want. I think they're going through with their plans this time, no matter what. No matter fucking what, they are holding to it because Vince McMahon is hell bent on solidifying Reigns as a superstar that he himself made. I don't think anything's going to change that. But we are curious to see if they do a double turn or if they just let people organically cheer for whoever they want, which is probably what's going to happen, because I don't think they want Reigns being a heel already. I just don't.
It kind of seemed like Brock was a face not last night, but the week prior before Raw. It kind of seemed like a face to me.
He's going to be the face going into Mania if it's
By
against
default.
Reigns.
Not necessarily a face, because I mean, if you watch that interview from last night, there's nothing redeemable or likable about him in a traditional sense as a babyface. He's smug, he's cocky, he's an asshole, he doesn't respect anybody. But I don't know, that people can actually also get behind that too. So I don't know. I would say Lesnar's the best tweener right now in WWE by far, and like one of the only true tweeners. So.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we've gone through everything. It just hasn't really been.
Let's talk about Renee Young's haircut.
Oh, yeah. I don't like it. I think she's. Wait a second. This isn't important news.
I think it's great.
I don't like it.
I'm pro the haircut.
I noticed her haircut, and I was like, her haircut looks good. But then I also noticed she looked less attractive with it. So I don't know what that means.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Is
really pay
is
much
Vince
attention
trying to
Renee.
bury Renee Young by cutting her hair himself?
Do you think they'll ever acknowledge the fact that Dean Ambrose and Renee Young are a thing?
They should.
On TV?
They should make her an actual personality, because she's very she's good.
Were you trying to say like she's not
Enigmatic.
imposing? Enigmatic. She's not imposing. Yeah, I wouldn't even say enigmatic. She's just got. I think she's got a voice and a personality for the business. Like, she's a good call woman. She's passable on commentary. She's a good backstage interviewer. And yeah, if they decided, I wouldn't have a problem if they decided to write her into some storylines.
Did
But
you
just
guys
don't-
watch Raw last night?
You mean that faux Raw? That
Yeah.
excuse for a Raw? Yeah, I mean, we've been discussing it. Like, just a second ago, I was talking about the interviews, you know. I mean, I skimmed through it. I didn't really rewatch the Rumble or the Triple Threat because I didn't have time, but I watched
So you missed JBL's weather report.
Yeah, I definitely skimmed through that shit.
Have you noticed how they can give Dean Ambrose like the stupidest shit to do, but he turns it into gold? Like even last night.
Yeah, we were discussing though how he's treading a very thin line right now between comedic relief and badass, like crazy, unhinged, believable.
Very thin line.
You ever since the Dr. Shelby-esque skits?
It traces back to
The hot dog cart.
yeah, to
Jumping
some
out of the
hijinks.
present.
It goes back to hijinks he was pulling long before this.
Hijinks.
But like I was telling Daniel, there's things they can do to ensure that he doesn't fall into just a comedy act, and I think he's too good for that. I don't think that could happen. I think he's too good of a talent to ever fall into that category. I just think they need to be a little more careful.
They need to
And-
establish these guys as legitimate competitors, and if they're a badass, establish them as a badass first before they go for the comedy stuff.
Yeah, and they didn't establish Ambrose as a bad. They established him as unhinged and lunatic, fringe-worthy, or whatever the fuck they want to call him.
I mean, The Rock
But he
was
lost.
The Rock was a real son of a bitch before they had him cracking
was
jokes.
Was he losing every single pay-per-view match and almost every single televised match? That's another thing, Brian. I know you're a big Dean Ambrose mark, but you can't tell me that they haven't made him look really weak.
Oh yeah, I know for sure.
One thing I do want to discuss is just because back in the day, someone like The Rock coming up, he could afford to lose matches. For some reason in this climate, if you're not winning all the time, you're buried. And is that something that is just how the fans perceive it, or is that just the way that WWE have started presenting it?
I think they know that wrestling's exposed, and nobody thinks it's real. Everybody knows it's it's kayfabe, it's make believe, whatever you want to call it. I think the thing is though, people, if you're not winning matches, people equate that with you being held down by the higher ups, and that's what people relate to now.
In a lot of cases, it's true. Maybe it's because we're seeing a lot of the rumors, like when Dolph Ziggler is losing his Intercontinental belt because he booked a comedy show on the side, stuff like that.
What? What happened? He was on a comedy show?
He said some disparaging remarks, and he got in the doghouse, right? Is that what you're referring to?
No, this was, okay, he said some disparaging remarks after he won the world title from, I think, Del Rio.
Yeah.
That was years ago, and then he had his concussion. They stripped him of that belt right away. Now, his last Intercontinental title run, they took that belt away from him because he booked a comedy show on the side and didn't run it by them first.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, that's crazy.
They have such a stranglehold on everything these guys do. It's
micromanaging.
It's micromanaging. That's part of what's lost in today's WWE is just the heart and the. I mean, in the late '90s, they were just winging shit, man. I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time buying into the, to them being contractors these days. You know how they say that they're free contractors or whatever, and they're free to do whatever they want, but that's not true. They're independent contractors. Sorry, free contractors. Mm-hmm. But it's micromanaging, like you said, and everything. They just down to a T. They try to it's like these moms. It's like these baby boomer. Or not even baby boomers, like people not even that much older than like our generation, that overschedule their kids for things. You know what I mean? Like instead of just letting them be children and have normal childhoods and just, naturally develop friendships, they schedule play dates and ballet and it's just they're over organized.
So you're saying Vince McMahon is like an overbearing parent?
Yes, he is. And he's an out-of-touch parent. He's not cool anymore. Whoop, there it is. That's what we need. Hey, we need to just name this episode Whoop, there it is. I mean, it sums up everything that's going on.
Who did that song, by the way? Who did Whoop, there it is?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. It's just one of those songs. Who knows?
We'll have to go find, an archaeologist to find the tablet that song was written on.
I think what's sad is most people, when they hear tablet, they're not going to think of what you're alluding to.
Nope.
This handheld device that's been around for 5 years. 5 years as of today, I think, actually. I saw something about that. That is more synonymous with that word than something that was ancient and has been around for thousands and thousands of years.
Some ancient relic.
Yeah, it's just and that's the WWE audience, or that's what they think. They think we have the attention spans and the memories of just tards, basically.
Yes.
And that's why they thought that Daniel Bryan being eliminated super early would be the way to go. They're like, oh, let's have them get it out of their systems, and by the time Roman Reigns comes into the match, they're gonna forget all about Daniel Bryan.
It wasn't even all about Daniel Bryan. I think they would have accepted a Dean Ambrose win or a Dolph Ziggler win.
Definitely, they would have accepted that with open arms. I think there's a lot of people would still feel like it was Bryan's year still, or that his time was still now.
By the end of the show, I would have accepted a Rusev win.
I would have too, over Reigns.
Yep.
Really? Oh god, I was telling Daniel before you came on, Brian, that I think that was just in the heat of the moment thing when people really go back and have had time to think about it.
It's not because I love Rusev. It's because it'd be more interesting to me.
But it doesn't make sense.
Reigns is already playing out in my head. I know how this is going to go down. I've seen it before it even hits the air.
It's going to be Goldberg versus Lesnar Part 2.
Yes. Exactly.
Because, and there's that added element of people knowing that Lesnar is not going to be in the company once that match is over.
Yep.
Although, I mean, it's not going to be as bad because Reigns is obviously sticking around. But yeah, that's a good comparison. I hadn't thought of that. Well, Brian, thanks for coming on. We're actually about to probably wrap this up.
Do you have any last thoughts on the product?
Brian,
No. Dean Ambrose for world champion.
Well, I
I
think
agree.
yeah, we'll get it one day unless they just completely ignore what they have on their hands. They didn't completely ignore what they had on their hands with Bryan. They didn't let it run its course. They didn't
Right.
capitalize on it further like they could have last night, or excuse me, the night before. But yeah, I think if they get their heads out of their asses, they'll sooner than later realize that Ambrose is more of their guy than Roman Reigns, despite his, and I'm air quoting here, less impressive physique. Because who gives a shit about that anymore, honestly?
Well, I'm gonna say, we need. My final thought is, we need to get Jerry the King Lawler back on Monday Night Raw.
Shut the fuck up.
We need his commentary. He made that show. He was selling everybody.
Here's the thing, though.
And now-
I don't really have an opinion on it. It doesn't. I see this stuff, this hatred online for the commentating team, and I get it. A lot of the times, what they say detracts from the match rather than adds to it. But I don't really see or hear rather that much of a difference between Booker T and Jerry Lawler. They're both. In fact, I think Booker T is
Booker
a little
T's,
more.
He's the better speaker out of the two of them. Jerry Lawler had nothing to offer.
Yeah, but I don't like his voice, and that's what matters. Like, I can't stand his voice.
He sounds
It's real-
stupid.
It's gravelly, and it just kind of, like, pierces my ear.
I
I
need
don't
someone
know.
a little bit more thoughtful on mic.
Yeah, but then you have the guys that are too thoughtful, that are, like, that feel like just fans or, like, marks watching.
See,
And-
you're
and
probably
I'm-
talking about
I'm
like
looking,
I
I'm
like
looking
Matt
at you,
Stryker.
Matt Stryker.
Yeah, I like.
I
Mike.
like him. Yep.
Yeah.
I like him too, and I've enjoyed some of his commentating on Lucha Underground.
Hey, Jim
Uh,
Ross. Jim Ross was as big of a mark as anybody when he was watching.
Yeah, but I don't know, Mark, oh fuck, Mark, what, I already forgot his name, Matt Stryker, he strikes me, pun intended, he strikes me as just, he gets a little too caught up, and I think he goes overboard with, some of his, he oversells it as being a legitimate, sport sometimes. He'll just get too intricate with his
I
detail.
like that though.
Really?
I like them trying to bring it back there and trying to ground it in something.
No, I think there's a good balance. I think he just overdoes it, but I will take him over anybody on the Raw announced team right now. That's for sure. Before we go, Brian, actually, I'm curious because me and Daniel have discussed it a lot. I'm new to it. I haven't been watching since it debuted in October, but I'm now I'm sold on it. I'm a fan. Have you watched or heard anything about Lucha Underground?
I watched one match on YouTube.
Let me guess, the triple threat?
No, it was a Prince Puma, and I want to say the other guy's name was Phoenix.
Oh, well, what'd you think?
Oh, it was okay. The one match I saw, Vampiro was a terrible commentator.
He
He says-
reminds
He says
reminds
"bro"
me
way
of-
too much.
yeah, it's I could take him or leave him. Matt Stryker, I think, has more to offer, but as far as Lucha Underground goes as a whole, I like the production value. It's like some spaghetti western, or it's basically, it feels like a Robert Rodriguez movie, which is who he's one of the executive producers.
Is he?
And-
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cinematic feeling. It's different. Unlike TNA, it's a legitimate alternative to WWE right now, what they have to offer. And I really I love the intergender matches that they have, and they're not PC. They have some chair shots of the head. I'm sure, I haven't seen any, but I'm sure they have some blading or will. Not
Have you
that
watched the full episode yet?
Yeah, I've watched several full episodes.
I'm gonna have to
And-
look this up.
Del Rio
Yeah.
debuting on the 11th.
Yeah,
believe.
that's gonna feel special.
Oh, and
That-
he debuted on Ring of Honor this week too, which you can
Yeah.
watch online on their
For
website.
a guy who always felt like a mid carder in WWE, it's surprising to me. Not that I have a problem with it, but it's surprising to me these reactions he's getting when he pops up in all these places. So
I was
uh,
always a fan of his. I didn't always like how he was used.
yeah, I'm a fan of his in ring work.
He's a good heel, I think.
Yeah, he's a good heel. I just think he's limited. I don't think his face act really does anything for me, but
No.
he's good enough. He's a good enough wrestler to really have something to offer to Lucha Underground, and that's mainly what it's about. I mean, it's
Well,
about.
we can do a whole episode sometime about all the wrestlers that have been
We should.
screwed
We
by
should,
WWE and how.
In 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whenever our next show is, we should just really get into more detail about Lucha Underground because it deserves more discussion than just like a 10-minute afterthought. But the one thing I will say about it, I think I love it. Don't get me wrong. I just think there's too much of the lucha Mexican emphasis on it because in order for it to translate well here, you can't have all these little Mexican guys, these Hispanic dudes in masks because it's hard. It's hard to tell them apart. And you
I
can
think
argue
the
with me all
fans
you
will just
want.
get. I think the fans will just have to get used to that though, because
No,
I
yeah,
think if they
The opposite. I feel the opposite, man. Like, did you? I know you weren't a fan of WCW, were you?
Me or Daniel.
You.
Well, I didn't grow up with it. I didn't get into wrestling until like '99.
I know what you're saying. WCW had a big division for the lightweights and the
Yeah.
a lot of
and
luchadors. A lot of them were over. So I think it just has to do with familiarity. The more you watch Lucha Underground, you're gonna start remembering these guys by their stupid masks.
I
It won't
know,
be
but
less
I
of a
think
problem.
I'm not arguing that the style shouldn't be there. I think they should just like I forget his name. I think it was like Alejandro or something. This white dude who looked like a BMX biker. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying like that style should be there, and I have no problem with the smaller guys. Obviously,
There's something really cool about the luchadors though. There's wrestlers in Lucha Underground that still have no released identities,
yeah,
and that
it's
part
cool.
about it is awesome.
It should just be half and half instead of predominantly luchas.
I think it
there
is
should-
half and half though.
Really?
At this point,
I just
yeah.
think there's maybe I need to watch more, but so far it doesn't seem like there's quite enough diversity in order for it to like really start to like gain some traction and have a long time viewing audience, at least in the States. Like I've seen Big Rick, Ezekiel Jackson, and Johnny Mundo, and that guy, the white dude I was just talking about.
Cage.
But no, yeah, Cage too. So yeah, I guess they're starting to trickle in more and more Americans and.
And then eventually they'll get Rey Mysterio.
Are they going to have pay-per-views?
They said that they were going to have pay-per-views, but I
They
think
will-
they'll
it-
be few and far between.
Yeah, and it's a slow burn. I don't think they need that right now. I think
Not yet. They're
Yeah, I
having
thi-
pay-per-view quality matches on TV right now.
yeah, they're doing just fine. And I think last night they aired like several like 3 hours worth of reruns of their programming like off the cuff. Like they didn't have this planned until they realized that Raw was not going to be showing any new matches, any live matches. So I'm sure they got some viewers from that. So it's just a matter of them promoting it properly and just continuing to not turn into WWE light.
I don't think they're going to struggle. I think they're
yeah,
going to be a success.
I think they only have room for growth. I don't see them as TNA. I don't see them making the same mistakes that they did time and time again. I see them flourishing and not competing with WWE. I think WWE, as I've said even on the show last week, I think they've monopolized it to the point where there's never going to be another game in town, at least not for a long time. But I think they have a chance of being what TNA could have been many years ago, being an alternative and an underdog and the little cousin to WWE, but enough like a bigger name than they are now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they could have toys and merchandise and stuff in stores, like in a small little section next to WWE, like TNA once did, and it wouldn't seem out of place. So if they keep doing what they're doing now and keep their identity the way it is and just expand on that, then I think they're going to be in a good place. And I think the wrestling fans that are fed up with WWE, we're going to have something to really, you know, aside from NXT, which I guess can provide that for us, it'll be something we can sink our teeth into that won't frustrate us the way that watching WWE television and pay-per-views has lately. So, with that said, sorry if I've done too much talking in the last 5 minutes. I feel like I've been rambling on, but I'm actually kind of passionate about Lucha Underground. It kind of it kind of sparked a newfound interest in professional wrestling, where I actually found myself watching the matches intently instead of just kind of like browsing on my phone and just being like, oh, what's going on with Mizdow? Oh, same old shit. Who cares? You know,
Did
like
Jarrett did his promotion ever get off the ground?
who?
He did that simulcast, the pay-per-view simulcast of New Japan's Wrestling Kingdom last month. And aside from that, there's been nothing about his own promotion that's been talked about yet.
Yet his idea of a wrestling boom, I think his idea of a wrestling boom is just a lot of different wrestling companies being present and active at one time, which is not a wrestling boom. But yeah, it's kind of weird that so far his company has just been him aligning himself with other companies. It hasn't been its own company. But
Yes.
I mean, if Lucha Underground, if they keep doing what they're doing, I don't see there's not even going to be room for Jeff Jarrett.
No.
So
And,
I think
New Japan actually has a run on some cable show right now that's been going
I
on.
need to check that out. I've seen like a few clips. Like I've seen Japanese wrestlers, just not. I haven't been exposed to it in a really like meaningful way. So if I can.
Well, they're all
'cause
over up here in New York, those Japanese wrestlers. I'm exposed to them all the time.
Well,
They're
that's cool.
terrible drivers. and mean looking.
This show is not as PC as WWE television. But yeah, like I did not realize I even had El Rey Network, so it was a pleasant surprise when I looked on my guide one day last week or the week before and was like, oh, I can actually sit down and watch this easily and like just set it to record anytime it comes on. So if I can do that for New Japan, then I'll be set.
Do they still have that show about repairing lawnmowers?
What? That just sounds like every show on like the History Channel.
On El Rey Network, the Mexican
Oh,
station.
I don't know. I didn't even know of this channel. The only thing I've watched on it is Lucha. So, I don't know. It's cool. The more wrestling, I guess, alternatives on TV that we have, the better, because I'm really getting sick of WWE's format. Not just their booking lately in general, but just the format of the shows has gotten stale to me. So, I don't know. Maybe it could get Lucha Underground will get stale to me after a while, but right now it's refreshing.
Did you feel last night or Sunday night when you were watching Royal Rumble that you missed CM Punk?
Actually, no.
No.
I didn't. I don't miss him, honestly. Did you? Do y'all?
I did.
Brian?
I kind of kept him out of my mind for a while, but then when I was watching, I realized it's been a year now, and I'm like, damn, this would be a hell of an improvement if he came out. But
His legacy, to me, it's just been tainted a little. I think as time goes on more, and I get over just that perception I have of him, where he just seems like a crybaby. Then maybe, like, obviously, if he comes
but
back,
he's on our side as fans, though.
yeah. But at the same time, I think he's an ungrateful little piece of shit, because there's a lot of guys that go through the shit that he does that fight through it and stick with the company, and they don't whine and go on all these podcasts, and he just strikes me as a dick. If you bring certain things up to him, they're like touchy subjects, and like, how dare you go there? And he just, I don't know, and like this
I admire
there's
his conviction that way.
really, but I don't know, to me it's like there's negative stigma surrounding him now, where like
He actually had the balls to stick up to Vince and Triple H numerous occasions, and
no, yeah, that's cool, but I don't know, I have mixed feelings on him. And
How do you think he'll fare in MMA?
that's
he's
gonna
gonna
be
go
a train
down
wreck.
like a puppy with one leg.
Do you mean the buy rate? Because the buy rate's gonna be
Oh no,
gargantuan.
I mean fighting wise.
No, I know. it's gonna be a spectacle. So
Well,
it's gonna be a
I'm gonna
success.
have a kind of a spoiler right now. I know how it's gonna go down because I'm fighting him.
And he'll still lose, probably.
Yeah, I definitely see CM Punk getting knocked out.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's just odd to me that one of his primary reasons for leaving the wrestling business,
The rib
it,
thing.
yeah, one of his primary reasons was his declining health. He looked, I mean, months leading up to his final appearance on Raw, or I think it was the Rumble. Months leading up to his last WWE appearance, he looked jaundiced. He had bags under. He did not look healthy.
Well, he
And
wasn't though. He was kind of severely sick, and they were
Yes.
pumping him full of antibiotics and pressuring him to
He had a
meet
staff
these.
infection.
Yeah, they were pressuring him to meet these dates.
I know.
So
I can't buy into the idea that he had this growth on his back, and the doctor, the prestigious world class doctor, just said, no, you're a top guy and one of the biggest draws here, but I'm too busy to treat you right now. So there's some holes in his story that I really think he's either exaggerating or making up to make himself look better. So that just goes back to me having mixed feelings. I agree with you when it comes to him standing up to the brass. Like, that I respect, but there's just ways that he's handled it, like with just being silent for a year.
Speaking of
And
brass, what do you think of the hip new stable, the Brass Ring Club?
Cesaro.
Cesaro, Adam Rose, and Tyson Kidd.
Okay.
When did they get that name? I haven't heard that name.
Yes, they're already wearing the T-shirts. It's a picture of a cat because Tyson Kidd's new gimmick is he loves cats.
Wait.
He's a cat
This isn't an IWC name that was given to them. That's their
No,
stable.
this is real. The T-shirts are printed out, and that's what they're running with. It's a
Wow.
thing.
They're like, well, we're not going to cater to the IWC and Smarky fans with a Daniel Bryan win at the Rumble, but we will give you this little pre-show nod to the IWC sentiment.
They're the Brass Ring Club. The T-shirt's got a cat on it. And
That's
it's got
unbelievable.
the Swiss flag and 2 roses, and
Wow.
that's what they're
Talk-
going with.
Talk about
Poor
thrown
Cesaro, he
together-
doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, he does not deserve this. I mean, I like Tyson Kidd. He's talented, but he's
He
never
doesn't
gonna be
deserve
any-
it either, but he could deal with that for now.
Yeah, he's lucky to just have any FaceTime, whereas Cesaro a year
He's
ago...
going backwards.
Yeah,
Right.
Cesaro could have been something. Tyson Kidd was never going to get beyond a certain level. And with
I've had
Adam, I
Question.
find Adam Rose's involvement in this confusing as fuck. Is he a face? Is he a heel? Why does he still have the rosebuds? Why is he still, jogging to the ring like a homosexual Russell Brand with a lollipop in his mouth? And then the next minute he's like this brutal killer. Like I just, the booking is so weird and lazy with these guys.
And where did the bunny go?
Yeah, yeah.
That's my important question. Who is going to play the bunny now that Justin Gabriel's gone?
Sami Zayn. No, that's yeah. Like, I haven't really thought about it. It's interesting that y'all brought that up. They put that on our television screens for weeks. They were building up this bunny thing, this bunny bullshit. We had to endure
I'd say months. At
we
least
had to
like 2
endure
months.
bulls and alligators and bunnies and the bunny this, the bunny that, and now he's just gone.
The bunny's gone.
There was no payoff. There was no payoff. Like, we all thought there was going to be a one-on-one match with him and Adam Rose. Not that anybody's clamoring for that, but we
I wanted
expected
to
it.
see-
I would have liked to see more of the black guy in the donut costume. The guy who says, "I'm delicious." That was over with me. I would like to see that.
I thought it was genius that the bunny's finisher was called the rabbit's foot. It was the super kick. That was ingenious.
Yeah, I guess they could have. Here's the thing: they need little things like that to appeal to the kids. I don't have a problem with it. I can fast forward through it because I normally tape Raw because I'm at work. But it's just inexcusable to just drop things the way they do. Remember when Eric Rowan first resurfaced on TV after he split from the Wyatt family,
My
albeit
looking for
quietly.
Renee.
Yeah, looking for Renee, and just the next thing we know, he's on the Survivor Series team, and he's no longer infatuated with Renee Young. So it's like these start and stop storylines that they do. It's just ridiculous, and it really
He was
makes you
also a
wonder
genius.
what.
He was also a genius. Like he could solve a Rubik's cube.
Yeah, I forgot
Take a
about that.
flat.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but they're probably not going to follow up on that. It's just these
Right.
half-baked ideas that they employ before they have any like idea of where they're going to go, and it's
And if
hard
they
to
don't
get-
catch on overnight,
yeah, they abandon it.
how the hell do you test how people are receiving something if you show it to them 1 or 2 nights? At that point, you're in spectator mode. You're watching. You're waiting to see where it's going to go, and then it goes nowhere.
Yeah,
You're like, was I supposed to raise my hands and go, "This is amazing"? I'm waiting it out. I'm trying to see where it goes, and you just pulled it off the screen.
Yeah, it's very hard to get into a product that just, Raw claims to be like the longest running television show and stuff, and that it may be. But is it really a TV show? I can't think of any other TV show, even shitty ones, anywhere on TV, on any station.
Well, Vince McMahon thinks his only.
I'm just saying I can't think of any other show that has this many loopholes, and like you're not going to see on a soap opera, you're not going to see like a man falling in love with a woman and like proposing to her one week and then it's just never mentioned again.
Mhm.
You know,
He thinks
Like, and
his
that-
only rivals are other mainstream TV shows. He doesn't
Yeah.
look at wrestling as competition. His
Yeah, he's-
competition is TV shows. He
he's-
thinks he's in that business.
he's not in the pro wrestling business, as he says. He's in the entertainment business, the sports entertainment business.
Okay, so let's judge it by that. As a TV show, that's it's got to have some cohesive elements to it. It still sucks. It's not stacking up to the high standards. I mean, even TV's arguably getting better with new shows, some of the new
AMC
dramas and shit. Yeah.
and FX and stuff.
So WWE also should be stepping up like that.
But they're not, and guess what? They're not even really being successful or excelling as a wrestling show. So if you're not,
They're not doing either well.
Yeah, if you're not delivering entertainment or sports, what are you giving us? You're just giving us shit to bicker about. And I said that at the top of the show before Brian got on. I think part of the fun of being a fan in this era is just doing what we're doing now and discussing the state of it. Without that, if we didn't have the internet and a way to like vent about it, I don't know that I would be watching right now, because it's that bad and it's that disheartening, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change
I
for
think
the better.
that's only because we see that there are people who agree with us, and we're all watching together to see if it gets better.
Yeah, so
we'd
there's a
we'd
sense of,
still watch if it was good. If
I
it
don't
was
know.
good, we would still watch.
well, yeah. I'm just saying, if it was bad like it is now, and we didn't have this sense of camaraderie and like family, like
Uh-huh.
if there wasn't like any way to like discuss with other people
How bad it
online,
was.
and yeah, then I don't know that I would be watching, because that's part of the fun. But I haven't eaten today. I'm feeling weak. I'm feeling as weak as CM Punk felt for many, many months. So I'm going to say my goodbyes. I think, how long did we run? This is longer than the first episode, right?
I didn't run anywhere. I barely moved.
You know what I mean, you jackass. But Brian, thanks for calling in. Actually, one more thing I'm going to mention. You heard at the top of the show, the lead in is actually a song that Daniel and I created as part of our 2-man project, Lovers Beware. It's actually about wrestling. You can go to loversbeware.bandcamp.com if you want to download it. And Brian, I'm gonna send you that audio file, and you're actually gonna like throw together a little video for it, right?
Yeah, sure, man.
Because you've made some really badass Electric Six videos, and I don't have the time right now or the means really, because my computer's kind of in the shits right now to really put together something like that. But I think it'd be cool to just put some like I don't know, some clips like we discussed to it.
This is a brief aside, but is this other guy? I don't know your name. What's your name?
Daniel Danielson.
Oh yeah, Daniel Danielson. Are you an Electric Six fan too?
Oh yes,
That's how we all know each other, bro.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
indeed.
for the 3 people that stumble upon this and actually made it to this point and are still listening, check out Electric Six. They're a really great garage rock, disco, electronic rock band. They do it all. They're a good cult bar band. We all love them. We've been to countless shows. They're a good band. Check them out.
Just don't take away their gun rights.
Yeah, don't take their gun rights away. Give them back their rights.
They know you have their rights.
We could talk about their latest album probably for another 30 minutes, but that's not what this show's about. So I'm gonna.
Royal Rumble sucked.
Yeah, Royal Rumble sucked.
Oh,
it's gonna be interesting to see where they go from here over the next couple of months. Not excited for Fastlane pay-per-view because I mean, come on, it's Fastlane. Just look at the name. That's basically they might as well have called it Payback Part 2 or
Rusev versus Cena.
Over the Limit. It's Over the Limit.
Oh, can I
That's
just
all it
talk
is.
about something that I read?
Yeah,
But
make it fast.
Yeah, I read a rumor that they might go with Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus this pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, when I woke up and checked my sites, I read that as well. I forgot to bring it up. What do you think of that, Brian? I think
I saw they might do that for WrestleMania, is what I read.
Yeah, that's
No,
that's what I read. Yeah,
yeah, that's what we're saying. We're not. Sorry, we
think
we're
that's
talking about fast.
ridiculous.
of course it is.
It's pathetic. I mean, if Sheamus was still on like a huge, like an up high level, if he was still regarded as a threat or even liked at this point,
You
maybe...
couldn't make him heel enough to make this interesting.
No, especially with so little time. The
Mhm.
only way it would have worked is if Sheamus had come back as a surprise entrant, healed it the fuck up, and eliminated Bryan, and like was like sorry about it, and like really trolled the crowd.
Yep.
But they missed that opportunity, and what are we like? We're gonna have some rushed bullshit, and Bryan deserves better. And if they honestly go with that, then I'm definitely gonna start paying more attention to Lucha Underground because I can't stand by and watch them underutilize their most talented over guys like this. It's just sickening. It makes me sick. You know, I like discussing it with you guys, but it honestly it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth that I want to jump on the whole hate Roman Reigns and cancel the network bandwagon. Even though that aspect of it makes me a little sick too, because I think wrestling fans can be kind of prima donna now, and I think they can really get a little too.
Well, now
excited.
you're making Vince's case for him, so I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, but all right, guys. Thanks for
That
thanks
has
for
been
coming
our
on,
show.
Yep, thanks for having me on, guys.
If you like this show, you may like the following shows.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah. Also, check out Daniel has another show that he runs with. Who do you do it with? It's called Backyard Wrestling, where they basically commentate over various backyard wrestling matches.
Oh yeah, well that's not me. That's hosted by D'Lo Frown and King Mabel the Dead.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My mistake.
Commentating over backyard wrestling matches.
That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, you should check it out, Brian. It's endlessly entertaining, and we're probably going to get the opportunity to go on it when they start having guest spots, kind of like we did tonight with you.
I'll have a talk with asshole Gene Okerlund and see if that's a possibility.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun, and this podcast, it's actually going to be on the same channel for now as Backyard Wrestling, so you can find it all there and get your kicks.
All right, I
Guys.
gotta think of a commentating name, and it's gonna be a playoff bye with the Brain Heenan. So
You really do, but you realize you're prolonging the time. Like you're dragging out. Oh God, man, I'm so hungry I can't even talk. What I'm trying to say is I really want to drive and get cheap Chinese food right now. And
What
y'all
you're
are not
really
allowing-
saying is you're hungry
I'm hungry, and y'all aren't allowing me
For
to stop talking about
a Roman
wrestling.
Reigns victory at Mania.
I'm hanging up. I can't even.
you're gonna make it rain in this bitch.
Believe that.
I'm getting Chinese food. Lead that.
See you guys later.
All right.
Believe that.
Believe that, baby girl.